the mistake people make, I talk to people all the time in business. They're making $0 and they're like, but Alex, I need to make sure my operations are good. And I need to make sure that, I hire this person and I don't want to get overbooked. I'm like, you have zero clients right now. Or like, you have your existing clients, but like you're not like you're focusing on a bridge that's way down the road. Like, let's cross this one.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Alex Hayes podcast. I'm Alex Hayes. With me today is a very special guest of mine. He has been a close personal friend, Alex Albarran. He is the CEO and founder of Alex Albarran and Company. He has helped over 1,200 clients with marketing and sales and business development, growth strategies. He has a wealth of knowledge here, and I am so excited to have him on. He is also no small part my best golfing buddy in the planet. So with that, Alex, thanks so much for being here today.
Hey, that's the best accolade of anything that you mentioned just now. We're golfing buddies for life. So, no, thanks for having me on. And yeah, I met Alex, I think like 4 or 5 years ago at a conference here in South Florida. And everybody that watches this, you guys have been to a conference, you've been to dozens of conferences, and usually you hand out some business cards, you get some business cards, and then you don't really like have any deep connections from there. But Alex and I have like from day one really connected on everything involving business and family and faith. And we've seen each other grow and go through this journey, together. So no, thanks for having me on.
It's definitely my privilege and my honor to have you, brother. Yeah, it's been a great ride for sure. Lots of great things coming in the future. But let's dive in. You started buying and selling Air Jordans at the age of 12. Your entrepreneur journey started very young. And then from there, you built a catering company from your parents' kitchen. You sold your car worth $5,000 to your name and went all in on a marketing consulting business, which I believe you did all before the age of 18. Talk to us. What absolute insanity was going through your mind at such young ages to go down this path?
Right. Well, I would say looking back, it is a lot of that. And I think the key ingredient, Alex, is naivete, like just being naive. When you're young, and I'm still young, I'm going to be 28, but I was 18. I'm out of high school, really young and inexperienced. So you think like, if they could do it, I can do it. It almost is a beneficial thing because your mind is thinking so simply. Whereas as we get older and we learn more, we're like, oh no, but what about the licenses and the permits? And I need a business plan. And, we start to go down these rabbit holes of like, here's why this isn't going to work. Whereas I had nothing to lose, number one. But I would say the drive, like where I got that from, my family had a lot of love growing up, but not a lot of, money. And there was always a scarcity around money and the lack thereof. We were never really like stable and consistent financially. And so I always had the drive. And there's probably something rooted deeply saying, hey, like when you need to help produce and, you need to like not just play some video games like most kids do. Like, there was a whole market back then of like buying Jordans, cleaning them up, refurbishing them, almost like flipping a house. You could flip Jordans back in the day. And so that's how I started kind of my entrepreneurial journey. And then I was a pretty decent basketball player, not amazing, but decent. So I was playing high school basketball. And in Florida at the time, you could be 15 years old and work, get a job. Nowadays, I think it's 14. But at 15, I said, you know what? I'm not going to the NBA. Like this thing is just costing my parents money to buy the shoes and the equipment and pay the, whatever gym trainers. I'm like, I want to contribute. So I'm going to quit basketball. I'm going to get a job. So I was working every night from like 6 to 10:30 p.m., waking up for high school at like 5:30 the next morning. That's when I started to love coffee, by the way. So I started doing that. And then I was always just hungry and I wanted to contribute and grow. I got into working out from basketball. So I loved eating healthy. I loved being in shape. And I had some of my family's, friends and acquaintances and neighbors. They were like, hey, can you cook for me? And I was like 17, 18. I'm like, it's not going to taste great. I'm not a chef, but I know how to cook healthy and I know like the portions and the proteins and the macros and all that good stuff, right? So that's how I kind of organically fell into that, doing on my own, as you mentioned, from my parents' kitchen, you know, 10 meals a week, 30 meals a week, 100 meals a week. Think of it, I say a week, it really was one day. I made the food, I prepped it on Saturday, woke up on Sunday at like 5, started cooking. The kitchen was off limits, so I was the only one that could be in the kitchen. I kept it nice and sanitary, but I would cook all the meals, then I would deliver them. This wasn't a pickup sort of deal. So I would go around South Florida delivering the meals, and then I got a commercial kitchen space, and I didn't have a co-signer. Looking back again, like I'm naive. I'm like, I'm gonna get a commercial kitchen space, and it's gonna work out. It's like I didn't have any credit. I had nobody that would co-sign, but I somehow got one. But then I was like, okay, this is hard, and as I was growing that business, I was learning about marketing and social media. And this is when, like 2016, social media still wasn't near its peak. I would say today it's everybody uses it. But even back then, there wasn't even TikTok. Instagram was in its infancy relatively. So I started to learn how to grow my business with social media. And then I started getting clients through my church with that. So it was kind of a decision. I was like, okay, I could stop this business. It was profitable. I never lost money with the food company. I did some pretty great things with it, but I'm like, I think I enjoy this more, which is that's half the battle. But the other half is that it's a lot more scalable, right? Like this video could get seen by 10 people, 1,000 people, a million people, but we're still investing the same time. Whereas, a business like that, it's a quasi restaurant, it inherently lacks scale. So then I said, okay, let me focus on this marketing and consulting company, which again, I still had absolutely in the beginning no idea what I was doing. I had, some amazing, humble clients that let me and vice versa kind of be guinea pigs together. But over time, it grew. And I've actually worked with now over almost 1,600 clients and business owners and people with different programs that I have. We've grown a lot over the last, 9 or 10 years. And so that's where I'm at.
That's incredible. And I can attest your food is super bland. I love you, brother. I say that with love and affection. But yes, when you said what you like to eat, when you were ordering at a restaurant, we're sitting down and you said, I just want chicken and nothing on it. No salt, no, I don't want it in anything. I don't want to cook it in anything. I thought you were crazy. But I think you have a very good innate sense for how to make money. The follow-up question I want to have to that is, at what point did you realize that you were onto something with that marketing company?
I would say I never really got that intuition until recently. I'm talking like a few years ago. I just never thought of necessarily quitting. A lot of people hate on people that have jobs and, oh, like, the 1%, like I'm a 1%er, they're 99 percenters. It's like, no, there's people that have jobs that make way more money than us, right? And that's fine. Like having a job's not a bad thing, but I liked having control, right? Not just of my schedule, but of what I was focusing my time on. I feel like I was a little bit more mature for like a 20-year-old. Even in school, I hated being bossed around. Like, okay, you have to ask when to go to the bathroom. Even in high school, you're like an 18-year-old, kind of grown man as a senior. You're having to ask, can I go to the bathroom? Or, oh, I'm going to get written up for being 30 seconds late to first period. Like, all that stuff, more than making money necessarily and like getting stuff, that motivated me to say, okay, well, I'm just going to keep doing this, right? Like I kept my expenses super low, but I learned now I should have got a coach back then. I kind of just trial and errored my marketing, my offers, my sales, my systems, my technology. I probably could have grown a lot faster with a coach, but everything happens for a reason, and it's a part of God's plan. So I think looking back, I just never thought of quitting. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to stay on this path and let's see what happens.
I love it. I love it. Now, this transitions into the next question I have for you is, you've said that the hardest lesson you've ever learned was that revenue is more important than likes, right? And I don't know if that's the hardest lesson you ever learned, but it's up there in one of the biggest things that your messaging resonates, right? So, and you admit that you learned it the wrong way by wasting time, right, on built trying to do branding or logo or website or social media strategy before you had a real business development system. Walk us through that mistake that other people are having right now. What are you doing, and what does it cost you?
I would say myself included, but a lot of people when they start a business, they're very focused on my logo. I want to get a shirt with my company logo and I want business cards and my website and I want to get a whole video campaign and post on my social media, but you have to realize even within marketing, you can get attention, but you could lack credibility and trust with your actual clients, right? So, like you're saying, revenue over likes, it's also not just, yes, focus on sales and let's get a real business going, then focus on all that fancy stuff. But more importantly, within marketing, there's things that you could do to get attention. Like I could, go on TikTok and do a cute little dance. I can't dance, but I could try, right? Like I might get 1,000 likes, but if we post a short from this video that's talking about tactics in business and like real stuff, I might get 10 likes, but which one's going to lead to my ideal clients respecting me more, trusting me more, finding me more credible? Which is going to get me actually more revenue? It's probably the video that's going to get 10 likes, but maybe two of those likes turn into $50,000 clients. Whereas the cute dancing video, I'm going to get a bunch of attention and comments, but my ideal clients are going to be like, look at this joke. Look at this guy, like, what is he doing? I'm not going to give him $5, right, to grow my business. So I think it's a balance of, yes, getting attention, but also doing it in the right way, which, yes, takes more time. It's easy to get attention by doing the wrong things. We see these influencers, they come and go. They do all this crazy stuff and they're very loud and they make crazy statements and all that stuff. And then 5 years later, they're absolutely in the past. They don't have a long lasting brand or business. So I'm not a fan of, personally, again, anything that solely just seeks pure attention. It has to be getting attention, but adding value and establishing that credibility.
Interesting. And what was the moment that you realized that there was a difference between the brand building and building a business?
Well, I don't necessarily think they're different, but I think brand building takes time. So think of that as like a long-term project in a sense. You're not going to build a great brand in 6 months or a year, 18 months. But, if you focus on getting enough revenue, getting enough clients to get the business at least sustainable, that's priority number one. So it's not that they're necessarily different in a major sense, but you have to get the business going, get clients, get revenue, figure out who's my ideal client, what do they need from me, what's my solution, and then over time your brand will get built also by clients saying, "Hey, this guy Alex is amazing," or "This gal Jennifer, she's amazing at interior design," and that's building a brand. It's a brand of excellence, a brand of high standards. So that doesn't happen overnight. But I think people sometimes focus on building the brand first. But at the same time, you have short term needs in terms of money and cash flow and revenue. So I think you want to focus first on revenue and just having a very simple but actionable business. And then the brand, it'll happen over time.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, so if business owners shouldn't be obsessing over followers and content, and what should they be obsessing over? And if you had a business owner doing 2 million a year come to you right now and say, "I want to grow, where do I start?" What's the real answer?
I think the real answer is understanding number one, who is their ideal dream client. And I know everybody says that, but I promise you, I've been doing this for a good amount of time now, but with a lot of clients. And the difference between the ones that are very, very massively successful and the ones that are, they grow, but it's pretty mediocre and slow at times. The very successful clients truly deeply understand who their ideal client is, right? Like, not just, okay, what's their need and what's my solution, but deeply, like, what's causing them to make this decision? What emotions are involved? Who else have they worked with? Who else have they looked at? What is their number one priority? Like what's driving them to not just make a decision, but when they become a client, what traits do they have to then have success as a client? Because the worst thing as business owners is to get customers and clients who then are not good fits, because then you waste time and then, you have to work things out with them and you could have focused and they pay usually not a lot and they want the most attention, right? So the ideal client has to be the number one focus because you can get to 2 million or even 3 million bucks, I mean, that's, 300 grand a month, 250 grand a month. You could kind of get there not even understanding who your ideal client is. But as you scale, when you want to go from, you know, 2 million to, let's say, 8 million, it's not just about marketing. It's about who is my ideal client? What do they need? Again, not want, because in a recession, people need something and they get it. If they want something, they'll wait, they'll defer it. So if you have a need and you have your solution, that's great. But you have to understand deeply what messaging, now this goes into marketing, what messaging is going to feel like that ideal client is just a magnet to your business, right? So, how do we identify the ideal client, build an offer that they need, then build marketing that's speaking directly to them? And again, not just the ideal client who will pay, but the ideal client who will pay, get great results. Because again, going back to brand building, you don't want to rely on a leaky bucket, right? Like if I have this water bottle, there's a bottom right now and it's sealed. So if I keep filling this water, it's going to overflow. But most businesses, they have holes in this water bottle, which is their customer satisfaction, right? Which is people staying and referring clients, their lifetime value. So if this just keeps leaking, you're going to say, I need more leads, I need more marketing, I need more sales. And you're going to constantly be dumping marketing and dollars into this when your clients are falling out of the bottom and they're not staying, they're not having a good experience. So I think, again, that's the end goal, is having such a great brand to where, like, you think Disney, if Disney stopped marketing, they would probably still make all the money that they make, right? Like Coca-Cola, they don't need to market. Of course they do, but they've built such a brand. And when I get that Diet Coke, I know how it's going to taste and it's going to be amazing. When I bring my family to Disney World, I know the experience, I know the staff, how they're going to be. And I don't need to be marketed to. But again, when you're thinking about growth, it's not just marketing, it's how do we get these other pieces in play so that when we market, we get the right people who are not just going to sign up or pay or become a customer, but they're going to stay and they're going to continue to pay. And they have friends and family and acquaintances that are also going to be good fits as well.
I think that's super tactical. And the follow up question to that one is, what is the one metric that every business owner should be tracking that most of them aren't?
I would say referral rate, right?
Mm,
Like most people track, of course, with marketing, cost per lead, cost per appointment, CPA, customer acquisition cost. And on the sales side, cost per appointment completed, close rate, average deal size. But I think referral rate is great because most people with their companies, they don't even ask, right? They might have a little ask like, oh, do you know anybody else who wants, a kitchen countertop, or do they need their bathroom done, or do they need marketing? Most people don't even ask, number one, or they might ask, but they don't have a referral program, right? And they also, most businesses are a little stingy. They're like, oh, yeah, if you give us a $1,000 referral, I'll give you a $25 Amazon gift card. I'm like, when I hear clients tell me that, I'm like, no, 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 no. How much would it cost you to spend on marketing to get that client? Whereas they're giving you a hot lead that trusts them, they're willing to refer you, and you're giving them a measly little referral fee. I mean, most businesses spend $1 to make 3 or 4 or 5 maybe. So if you have a $10,000 deal, I'd be like, "Hey, if you have any friends or neighbors who, wanna get their roof replaced or wanna get solar, I'll give you $1,000 for every deal you send over." Like, and again, it's incentivizing them to send referrals, but also how do we have it to be a program? It's not just asking once, but hey, in 90 days, hey, how's everything going? Are you enjoying the experience? Oh, it's great. Okay, awesome. Do you know anybody else? I know we talked about it, when you got finished with the job, but do you know anybody else who needs this done or needs a coach, or they should attend my next seminar? Nobody has a program in place. Not nobody, but most businesses, they don't have that system in place. And again, that's found money. It's free. You're only spending on marketing when they send you a client that actually is a deal. Whereas for you to get on the front end, you have to spend money out of pocket to then get a client. But again, that's a part of this leaky bucket. Most businesses have a massive leaky bucket in terms of customer satisfaction, which then leads to no referrals. Or even if their customers are satisfied, then they don't ask or have a solid program in place to incentivize those referrals.
It's super powerful because you're right. I don't think enough businesses are taking advantage of the hottest traffic that they have, which is they're already paying customers that are happy. There's a difference between being known and being bought from that you've
Mhm.
established already here in this conversation. And you've built brands that have millions of YouTube views, right? You got Christy Van, you have tell me a couple other ones. I know it's
Stephen
Dr.
Gardner, he has 2 million subscribers. Dr. Turley has 1.6 million. And I have some other ones as well, like JJ the CPA. He has 100,000, and I have a bunch of different ones all over the place as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have some experience with large audiences, right? But you always tie it back to revenue. And how do you know when your content or your marketing is actually working versus just getting attention?
Well, I think again, like that's why I love questions like that because I look at sales as more of a science, whereas marketing is an art and a science. Like, yes, you can put out 7 videos a week and do this and paid ads and webinars and that. And, you should get a certain result, but it's not a guarantee. It's an art. I mean, sales isn't a guarantee. You can get 100 leads and close zero, but it's more of a science once somebody gets to that point. So I think that's why the marketing part, Alex, is the hard part and getting, again, not just attention, but getting people to find you credible, trustworthy. But usually when you do that, sales is easy. Again, that's why I'm focused on with clients, yes, views, attention, but we're not doing anything to get views. Like I have clients that go through slumps of their marketing or their channel. And I'm like, I would rather you do that. Let's figure things out the right way versus trying to get some short term views by doing some, nonsense or some clickbait stuff that may get you a little more attention short term, but is actually going to kill your revenue long term because you're going to be looked at as like, she's not trustworthy. I don't know. I don't like him, or that wasn't good. And we all have somebody in our mind. I won't name any names of like people we see on the internet, and we're like, oh yeah, I would never give them a dollar. Like they posted that video and it was so over the top, or it was so rude, or for lack of a better term, douchey or whatever. Like you like even if they had a great program, you're so turned off because they did something to get attention that you don't trust them anymore. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like marketing, that's the hard part is to bridge the gap of both. And then what you're saying with revenue, once you figure that out, you'll have opportunities for revenue. So that's not a problem.
And what's the conversion metric that most content creators and business owners completely ignore?
Think webinars and videos, not just like this, but virtual events and seminars, because it's been around forever. So many businesses, they're built on kind of presentations and really walking somebody through maybe identifying what their problem is, right? Sometimes the people that have the biggest problems in finances or health or relationships or, their career or their business, they don't really think they have a problem. So a lot of the time when you do a presentation or even if you have an audience, you do a webinar, you do a Zoom call, a virtual event, you can really educate people. And sometimes you're educating them on what their problem is. And then as it goes on, you're showing them, hey, you're kind of showing them, I call it the heaven and hell. I'm trying to work on a new term, but like the heaven or hell, scenario where, well, if you keep doing what you're doing, like hell, like this is what's going to happen with your health or your relationship or whatever somebody is selling, then heaven could be if you make a change, if you do something different, if you have improvement, that here's what's possible. And I think like taking somebody through a structured process like that, I think that's what's missing a lot of the time where they just post videos or they get attention, but they don't have that conversion mechanism, like you're saying, to really take somebody to those next steps.
Again, powerful wisdom there, man. I appreciate that. Let's move on to another subject here because I want to highlight some other accolades that you have because you
Please
are.
don't.
Yes, I know you love it when somebody talks about you. I know, but you've won the Two Comma Club award, I believe, a couple times, and what that means is you've built a funnel that generates over $1 million. And I'd like you to explain to the audience what a funnel actually is for business owners who maybe haven't heard of it or maybe are kind of only word aware but don't know really understand what it is and what it does.
So, if anybody has ever, what's that thing in your car? It's the windshield washer fluid, right? Something like that. Windshield fluid. And so some cars, especially older cars, they, like you mentioned, I sold my car to fund my business. Like the cars I had, my first few, you had to get one of those funnels to even like get it in there because it wasn't ergonomical like some of the new cars are today. Like just to dump some washer fluid in it. So think of it like a funnel where at the top, it's wide, but then as it goes down, it slims down into almost nothing. So most businesses initially they rely on referrals and word of mouth and oh my neighbor said this or oh this other guy I work with, he said I should work with you. So you don't have a marketing and sales system because it's all just referral sale. Like you don't have a funnel, but when you're building and scaling, you have a marketing funnel where you might have top of funnel leads that are not ready, they're not trustworthy yet of you. They're not interested, or they might be interested, but they're not interested in making a decision. Like they just want some information, right? So then maybe they have a call or an in-person appointment or a sales call or whatever. Then they might be in the middle of the funnel. They're definitely interested. They haven't made a decision yet. They're not ready to go. But they might even still be a tire kicker, but they're definitely going to take the time to at least hear what it is. And then you have people below that where it's like, okay, they heard the conversation, they're interested, they might almost be committed, they're going to talk to their spouse, you guys have another call, that's the next step. And then, of course, the final step is okay, I trust you. I find you credible. You have my attention. I have a problem. You have a solution. I'm going to sign up with you. But again, like most people don't fill this funnel at the top enough. Like, as an example, you mentioned Christy Van, one of my clients. She started with me at zero, and now she has 440,000 subscribers on YouTube, 35 million views, and she's killing it. But if you would guess how many customers she's gotten from YouTube, she sells $27 books, $100 courses. Like she's not selling a $100,000 service, it's financial coaching. So she's had, I calculated the other day, less than 5,000 paying customers and they're low ticket out of 35 million views at top of funnel. I mean, think of again YouTube top of funnel, and then people 35 million views, maybe 100,000 are interested in buying, and then 5,000 buy. So I think the mistake a lot of people make is that they want to scale, but they don't realize like you need a lot of people top of funnel. Like if you want to get 100 clients and you're selling something for not 50 bucks, you're selling something for 20,000 bucks, you're going to need a lot of leads to really end up with that amount of clients.
And what's the mistake that people make when they're trying to build funnels? What's the most common mistake you
They
see?
don't fill up the top of the funnel enough. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I did a webinar, Alex, and I had 40 people show up and I thought I was going to get 10 sales." I'm like, "No, I've had webinars where 1,000 people show up and then out of those 1,000, people drop off and then the people that heard the offer, maybe 10% reach out and then out of those 10%, you close 40%. But if you do the math, out of 1,000 people, 10% reach out, you close a third of them. That's 33 people out of 1,000 people. That's what,
So it's just
3.3%?
yeah. No,
Yeah,
even less.
right.
It's 3% of 1%.
No, it's 3% out
Yeah,
of 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, because 100 out of 1,000 is 10%,
Yep.
right?
So, yeah, you're right. So, for those of us
But
that are
does that
math
make sense
challenged,
though? Like with the funnel of like people expect a lot of sales and results, but they don't realize how many leads you need to really make that happen.
that makes total sense. People underestimate the amount of volume that it takes to generate good quality leads and that convert to clients. I think that's a huge gap in education for bringing reality to business people. So I think that's spot on. Now What is the single biggest reason that most businesses struggle to get new clients? I know we talked about not enough volume, but is there something else other than not enough leads? Is there something else that prevents them from actually landing clients?
I think the client not trusting or finding the business credible. I
Mm,
think business owners, again, they might know how to get leads and they get attention, but there might be a big gap for them of, well, once they reach out, how are we showing them that we know what we're talking about? Right. And this is for any business. This isn't for us like online consultants and marketers. This is for if you own a window cleaning company, or if you own a contracting company or a plumbing company, or again, like it could be an old school business. When somebody reaches out and then they book an appointment, what are they getting in between the appointment being booked and it being completed? Usually, most businesses send a reminder email that has no value, right? So, you want to really think about how, like, what's going to help my customers, my ideal customers, what's going to help them make a decision to work with me over somebody else? Like, what is that thing? Is it like for my business, it's them believing in me, right? And my track record and what I can offer and my integrity and my faith and everything like that. Like that's what's going to get them to say, you know what? I'm going to take a leap of faith in myself because I feel like Alex is going to be there along the way with me in my business or whatever program I have. Same thing with other people though. Like what's going to make their ideal client really trust them, find them credible, and how can you do that in the marketing process? Because then that makes sales easier. A lot of
I
people have
love
a
this.
hard time with sales because they're dealing with cold leads who are like, "I reached out, but I still don't know who you are, and I don't find you credible yet. I don't trust you yet." So then the sales process is super difficult.
I love that. Let's stay on this for just a second longer if you're okay
Yeah.
with that, because I want, if you can, walk us through what an actual client acquisition system looks like. How does it actually work? Break it down like step by step in general. I know
I
everybody.
like we're going in the weeds. That's good
Yeah,
though.
I like it. Let's get tactical here.
Sure. So I mean, it depends on the business, but I would say if you're a service business, you're selling sprinklers or you're selling coaching or you're selling marketing or whatever the service is, you have marketing and sales, right? So the first thing with marketing, if I have a client, I don't just jump straight to marketing. I do look at, again, who is your ideal client? What is their ideal outcome? Because at the end of the day, we want to build the brand. And if we're helping serve them and helping them achieve the ideal outcome, then over time, marketing and sales is going to be easier and easier. So I do start with that. Then the offer, right? The worst thing you can do is have the right ideal client, market to them, try to sell to them, and you have the wrong offer. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's too cheap, right? Just like if somebody offered you, Alex, a Rolls Royce for $1,000, you'd be like, this thing is going to blow up in my face or something. You'd be like, there's no way it's legit. No way. If somebody said, hey, Alex, I bought this Rolls Royce for 500 grand, I can give it to you for 420, 410. You'd be like, oh, maybe they're in a spot. Maybe I can get a deal. I mean, a Rolls Royce is $400,000. It's not $1,000. So when sometimes people say, oh, yeah, I'm going to help you transform your business and do this and do that. And I'm going to do all these things. And it's going to be $1,000 or $2,000 or $500. It's like, sometimes clients are like, I don't believe it. Even if you're going to actually do it, they don't trust it because they're like, anybody credible would not be charging that little. So that's why the offer and not just the price, but how it's structured, that's important. And then we go into the marketing, like the messaging. That's even before we're focused on getting attention, building credibility. How can we get the messaging to the right people and make sure that they are being heard and they're like, wow, like we've all had a sales call or whatever, and somebody said, like, it feels like you made that video for me, or you're like, it seems like what you do, you're speaking directly to my needs and like my situation. That makes it a lot easier because they feel heard. So that's where in the marketing process you have messaging, then getting attention. But then as you get attention and leads, and as it transitions to the sales process, we need to make sure that they find you credible. And then you have the sales process, of course, which is, a phone call, the in-person meeting. Then you might have a follow-up. Then they become a client. Then you serve them. Then you get referrals. And then the process repeats.
Great stuff. I love this. Such great value here. Now, you've helped some of the biggest names in independent media and financial education space grow, right? You've
Don't you're
mentioned
making me nervous. Come on. You're too many accolades. No, I'm just kidding.
Christy Van, you got Stephen Gardner, Dr. Turley. What's the difference between a YouTube channel that grows to 1 million subscribers and one that stays stuck under 5K?
I mean, I don't have all the answers. Again, like marketing, it is an art. Like it would be easy for me to say, "Oh, well, the clients that were successful, they just listened to me." It's like, no, some of my most successful clients are the most natural speakers, right? Like they have that it factor. I can't teach it. I mean, damn near, I don't know if I have it, right? Maybe. So at a certain point with YouTube, there's only so much that I could do besides helping somebody do it, like staying consistent. I would say if somebody is consistent and they're focused and they're making the videos better and better, they will grow. Are they going to get to 1 million subscribers? I don't know. But if they're consistent and they're focused, just like with working out, you could do yoga, Pilates, heavy lifting, CrossFit, boxing. But if you, doesn't matter. If you're consistent and you stay focused and you do it for a long period of time, you're going to get some result, which is not, again, it's not a sexy answer, but it's the truth. Like it's, you don't need 1 million subscribers, but if you stay consistent, focused for a long period of time in anything, especially marketing, at some point it will work.
Yeah, no, I love it. Consistency is yeah, it takes a long time. Yeah, every
Exactly.
anything.
People overestimate how fast they're just going to jump out of the gates. And then it doesn't jump out of the gates fast. And they think, oh, there's something wrong with my video editor or my coach or YouTube. I'm going to do TikTok now. I'm going to do Instagram. I'm going to do this. And they give it 3 months and they overestimate what they're going to do in 6 months and underestimate what could this really be in 6 years, 10 years.
I love it. I love it. Let's transition now and talk about you. Your business has tripled in revenue over a 15 months period. When when most business owners tripled in revenue, they also triple the chaos, right? They've got all kinds of stuff going on, more staff issues, more operational problems, more stress. But what did you have to build or change to grow that fast without the business completely falling apart?
And I will say operationally, I'm definitely not the expert. Alex Hayes is the you're the expert for that. But I would say, learning not to bite more than you can chew, if that's the saying, where, it's okay to not grow every month. That's what I've learned. Because I'm still young, but young and maybe more immature, you're like, no, 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 we're going to double next quarter and then we're going to double the quarter after that. But then, like you're saying, chaos can potentially happen and it just leaves you a little stretched thin. You're all over the place, right? So I would say if you look at growth long term, you don't see the little squiggly like ups and downs. But if you stay consistent and you do the right things, it doesn't need to all happen tomorrow. Right. So again, like you're saying, as I've grown, I've also had times where I'm like, I'm not taking on these types of clients anymore. Or like I'm taking them on in 3 months, or I need to slow down, like trying to find the balance of, again, like maximizing the customer experience with growing my own business. It's definitely a challenge.
I think that's super honest. And I love that. I love that transparency. But if you're okay with it, could you share maybe something that almost broke because you were scaling so fast and like something an example of how you course corrected in stride?
Where I think taking on too many clients at one time, that has been a challenge at times, especially if I do a big video or webinar, like a big, seminar, and I get a lot of clients at once. I'm saying early on, you just don't know how to handle it as much. You're going from getting 2 clients a month or five or six to getting 40 or 30. And like, again, that's, I think, a challenge I've learned over time where making sure like my events are structured in a way where, I can have the right offer. Like next week, I'm speaking to 300 people. Like I'm mapping out, okay, if there's going to be clients from that, here's the offer. Maybe they're going to do group coaching instead of one on one, or they're going to do this. Maybe I don't have spots for them to do the one on one. Right. So learning like, how can I make sure as I market and get opportunities, I'm not like just shutting down my business and saying no, but coming up with different offers that are maybe less expensive, more scalable. So that's why I've learned, I would say, over time.
Yeah, no, super awesome. I love that. So walk us through, if you can, walk us through the different revenue stages of your business, right? What was it?
Geez, you want to see a roller coaster? Let's go
I
to
do. I
Disney.
wanna hear. I'm here for the ride, my friend. What was the difference though of like a 30,000 month versus 150,000 month versus $500,000 month? Like what breaks at each level and what do you have to build to get through each of
It's a good
those levels?
question. I don't know if I have an amazing answer, but I would say most businesses, until you get to that point of, depending on what you're offering, I mean, when you start hitting multiple six figures a month, that's hard to do on referrals unless you're selling, $1 million projects. But if you're doing hundreds of thousands a month consistently, usually means that marketing is working. Then I think, in my opinion, the shift should be towards operations and making sure as you want to scale, things are on point. The mistake people make, I talk to people all the time in business, they're making $0 and they're like, but Alex, I need to make sure my operations are good and I need to make sure that, I hire this person and I don't want to get overbooked. I'm like, you have zero clients right now. Or like, you have your existing clients, but like, you're not like you're focusing on a bridge that's way down the road. Like, let's cross this one, which is marketing, and like let's get the demand for your services up so that your supply becomes maybe limited. And then we can figure out that supply and demand, curve and ratio. So I think that's what I've learned also is people focus on operations when they have a marketing and sales issue, right? Like most businesses, you can figure out if you have a lot of demand for your services, you have the money to pay somebody to help with operations, but if you don't have marketing and leads, then you don't have revenue, and then the operations will never be an issue anyway.
That's
That's and
fair
clients
enough.
don't love me, I'm very honest and like you're saying, like it's they don't love hearing that sometimes, but I'm like, you're focusing on this operations BS and like you're making 20,000 a month, you're doing everything yourself, maybe, or you have employees already. It's like you're not even close to like having big concerns. Your marketing is still needs a lot of work. Mine does as well,
You
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would say focus on the point of constraint for the business. What is actually holding the business back? Focus
Like
there.
right now, like what's right in front of us? Not, oh, but I have this concern or this fear. It's no, it's like don't fear getting overwhelmed in the future. Like it's like hypothetically saying, oh, I'm having my first kid, November. So it'd be like me saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. How can I handle 10 kids?" And you'd be like, "Well, you only have one." So just focus on the one, make that one work, and then if you wanna have a second, then go from there. But again, like, if I have a certain amount of revenue, then my issue isn't, "Oh my gosh, how am I gonna manage 200,000 in revenue?" It's like you don't have 11,000 a month to begin with. So let's focus on that, and like kind of like if you're building a piece of furniture from IKEA, they give you this long, big instruction book, and you have to follow the steps in Swedish, whatever A, B, C, D, E, F, G. People go from A to B to Z. Then they go back to F. Then they go to D. Then they go to G. And then they go to V. And then they go back to A. So they're making progress. They're busy, 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 but they're not making progress because you want to move forward in a straight line. Whereas they're going and then making a U-turn and then going back by not, again, like following the steps of like, what is our immediate priority? Which again, for most businesses under a certain revenue level, it's marketing and sales for the most part. And of course, once you've scaled to that point, then operationally your holes, they will show up.
Fascinating. And as a maybe a clarifying question here, what do you see most often as being the number one thing that holds businesses back when they're at that 3 million and they're trying to, or they're at the 1 million, they're trying to get to 3, or they're at the 3 million and trying to get to 10? Like, what are those common problems at that level?
A lot of the time, it's the owner's own sort of mindset and psychology because they might have started this business from nothing and they have $1 million business. So they maybe never envisioned a world beyond that. And so, but when you want to scale, you're spending more money. Like scale, you're not just going to magically have equipment, employees, more marketing for $0. So I think a lot of the time they're just scared to shell out the money and say, okay, I never thought my business would make more than 100 grand that I did at my job. Now it's making 2 million bucks. What do I do now? They kind of feel like they made it. and then they start conserving and getting scarce. And they're like, no, 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 I want to hold on to this. Like, this is my, I don't need to do any more. But like, if somebody gets into business, you don't get to business to get to a certain point. You get in business to keep growing. And then you hit a goal, and then you're like, you know what, let me move the goalposts a little more. Then you move the goalposts to another point after that. So I think, it's a lot of people's mindset psychology around fear and scarcity. And that's also what we kind of help people with too, in the sense that, they get stuck at a certain point and they come up with logical reasons why they can't scale, but usually it just lies with them in that they're not thinking big enough. They're still playing too small.
That jives very much with what industry trends are seeing right now. And this leads to the next question really well is the sequencing of hiring, right? If you're going to grow, you have to bring on more people, right? But what's the right sequence to hire, right? When who should be your
This is
first
not
hire?
Alex Hayes. This is not my wheelhouse, sir. And I'll try to answer the question best as I can. But like I said, like operationally, like that's why I refer people to Alex Hayes, because I'm telling you, I want to add value as much as I can to your audience. So operationally, I have some things to offer. Hiring is not one of them, because I could,
No.
I would say I've hired people, and I would say be careful hiring friends and family. I'll give the simple advice, as we all know, be careful doing business with friends and family. I like having those lines. Like, I don't, like, even who knows, with our kids in the future, do I want to work with them? Maybe I would rather maybe push them out of the boat and say, go swim and do your own thing. Maybe. But who knows? In 18 years, call me, you're going to be like, Alex, you're such a baby with your kids. Like, you're not going to force them to do their own thing. So I might hire them. I don't know. But like I said, I think hiring wise, that is definitely not my area of expertise.
Well, very much look forward to seeing the dad Alex show up here soon. That's going to be an awesome guy to meet. Let's go a different route here. So
Sure.
you bootstrapped your
Yeah.
company with less than 2 grand, right? I mean, you sold your car for 5 grand, and then to invest in your business, and now you're got to a point where you're 500K plus a month without outside investment. Just as an investment question here, when do you think it makes sense for business owners to raise capital? Or when is it actually the wrong answer?
If somebody is in business, they need to be able to put it all on the line financially. So I think a lot of the time businesses, they want to raise money and they want to get investors, but then they have a nice car and then they have their house. And again, I'm not saying you should sell your house to fund your business, but I'm saying, like you're saying, I've never taken on outside investors, but people in business know half the battle of business is staying in business. So I've taken on, of like all the different like business loans I've done, probably, I don't know, at least 500 grand over the years, right? Not now, but over the years, I've had, there's different SBA loans and lines of credit and all that stuff. So as I've wanted to grow my business, my immediate thought was, okay, let me find an investor. And I didn't even have a proven business yet. Like, even now, I wouldn't want to give up any of my business to an investor who knows nothing about my industry for a little bit of capital, right? So I think, yes, you may grow slower because you don't have the massive infusion and you're doing everything yourself. But I feel like also over time, you have to realize that there is a way. Like, you don't need investors a lot of the time. Like, you can do the whole, like, at one point you get all the 0% business credit cards, you carry the balance, it doesn't mess up your credit. This is not financial advice. This is what I did. And then that helps you invest in marketing. You don't need the payoff right away. You pay the minimums, and then, you pay those off before interest hits. Like, and I'm not condoning that strategy. I'm just saying I was willing to do whatever it took to say, you know what, I'm going to stay in business through the ups and downs of revenue. Like we were discussing, long term over the last 10 years, my business looks like this. Short term, it's felt like this, right? Like, even now, every month, it's not pure bliss and everything is, flowers and sunshine. It's pouring behind me sometimes, like it is right now. So I think financially, people, my advice is have a lot of cash in the bank whenever you can. Or like, as a business owner, your business is the investment. So I get a little weary when business owners start investing in real estate and stocks and their 401k and this and that. It's like, okay, but so you want to get investors, but then you have all this other stuff where you should be investing in yourself. Or again, like getting some financing for the business. Like an SBA loan's not the worst thing. Again, not financial advice, but I'm just saying I've had my ups and downs, and financially, it's helped to say, you know what, I don't mind getting. I'll have a line of credit. I don't care if it's 10% interest only, but I'm like sometimes I've needed it, and it's helped me stay through. Right. Whereas people in traditional finance, or they might ask their cousin for advice who doesn't have a business, they're like 10%, you're getting ripped off. No, you should just shut down the business. It's like, and you should get invest that in stocks to earn 6 or 7%. So I don't know. I think when you're in business, like you think, oh no, I'm going to scale this. Like I'm not in business to make $500 a month. I'm here to help tens of millions of people over my life, maybe 100 million people. With what I'm doing. So I'm like, whether it's 10% or 7%, I'm not concerned if it's good and it's going to keep me in business. And ideally, it's maybe long term financing or interest only or flexible. I've taken it. I mean, like, I don't care. I'll take that investment in marketing and it all works out. But again, like, that's my advice. So, my experience, not advice. So, the only other thing I would add is again, as you start making money, don't start spending money. Like save, because again, my business has had peaks from like this is the most money I'm ever going to make, and then it went down 50%. Then this is three times that. Then it went down. Then I'm making three times my other peak, and then it went down, and then now it's up. So I think people just you want to have cash in the bank, just sitting. Inflation isn't killing it, right? Like it's fine, but in business, your business is volatile. So the cash helps you make decisions that keep you thinking long term. Whereas if you don't have money in the bank, whenever possible, it keeps you in a short term mindset. It makes you do short term things that actually just are not ideal at the end of the day for your long term growth.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. It's super powerful. And it's easy to lose sight of what you're trying to accomplish long term when you got to put food on the table tomorrow. All right. Yeah. So I feel
Oh no, and
that.
that and that's a huge challenge. And like I'm saying, I was blessed to start my business before I had mouths to feed. Right? So now I have 2 dogs, wife, kid, house, all that other stuff. I gotta pay this guy when he beats me at golf. I gotta give him, his winnings, the $10 we bet. That's out of my budget, right? So, but no, seriously though, like you're saying, I think again, if you're gonna start a business or grow your business, try to just have as much money in the bank as possible. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to me. But, it's not bad to have cash in the bank. I've spent time with billionaires, 100 millionaires, 10 millionaire people, and everybody in between. And they all like cash when you're in business. If you're retired and you got a 50 million bucks, yeah, put it in the market, or you can get a government bond that's almost risk free, or treasuries or whatever. But if you're growing something, everybody I've talked to at that level, they're like, "Oh yeah, cash is king because you can take advantage of opportunities." It's not all about defense; it's about offense and saying, "Oh, that person dropped out. I can take over that marketing or that sponsorship or whatever, and I have the money. Boom, I'll do it." Or even just having access to money with lines of credit, liquidity. You don't maybe need the money in the bank, but you want access, so it keeps you in the game. It's important.
Yeah, stay in the game. That's it. It's a game of attrition. So, all right, I want to get to this question because it's relevant to the audience base here. It's Here's a situation, right? A business owner doing about 4 million a year, they're the rainmaker, right? Every new client comes through their relationships, their reputation, their outreach. If they stepped away for 90 days, the revenue's gone, right? Almost overnight. They can't sell the business. How would you attack this problem?
It's a bit more nuanced because it depends on the business. If it's a founder facing business like mine, you have some challenges there. Or if it's not, then it's probably just an issue of they know they can do sales better than anybody that they could hire, which I understand. As the business owner, you can do sales better than any salesperson you can hire, but you still have to hire salespeople. And I've done that. And I have them even now. And it helps take the workload off me so that I could be on a vacation, or God forbid something happens, or, I don't need to be 365 selling, selling to just stay in business, because everybody gets burnt out at some point. So I think people at that level, it's your business, you love it. You need to understand you're going to hire somebody that's going to do 80% of the job that you can do, and you have to be okay with that. And that's again, like more than anything else tactically, that's usually the issue. They're just like, no, but like this is my product, or I built this business. And like they can't explain it like I can. They can't measure like I can. And it's like, I know they can't. I know, but it's you have to live with it.
So reframing expectations of what people are capable of, but building a
Yeah.
system around
Exactly. Because yeah, maybe they had a salesperson, fired them because they weren't hitting their quota, but maybe the quota was selling as the face of the company who sold this for 20 years. Yeah, somebody that's been selling for 4 months and maybe doesn't have 20 years of sales experience isn't going to sell at your level. Or even with me, if I talk to 100 prospective clients, I will sell more than my sales reps because I'm the product in a sense. Like they're going to work with me and I've just been doing this for longer. So, of course, I can, but I have to give them some grace and say, hey, even if they close at even 85% of what I could do, that's an achievement.
Yeah, solid. So, what does a marketing and sales system look that can run? What does it look like that can run without the owner, personal relationships, and the hustle?
Well, I think, and I have a question for you. As we wrap up, I want to make sure I get to ask the other Alex some questions. I would say they need a marketing funnel because if it's personal relationships, that's referrals. Essentially, it's warm leads. You need to build a marketing system that brings people in, and there's a process to take them from who the heck is this company to I'm their biggest raving fan at the bottom of the funnel. So that's how it goes. So I think it's just building a funnel and letting it play its course because, yes, it's not going to work as fast or as profitable as a referral from somebody you've known for 10 years. It's not even close. But if you give that time, that takes the owner and the reliance on them for sales a bit out of it.
That's solid. Very solid. Building systems in the marketing and the sales processes that eliminate the owner's personal touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So here's my last question to you, then you can ask me whatever you
Great.
want. All right. That's fair. So, but you're at a very healthy point in your business right now, clearing over 500,000 per month and have helped thousands of businesses grow. What do you know now about building a business that you absolutely wish somebody would have told you on day one?
I would say I don't want to change anything, right? Because it's all worked out. But I would say people should keep the naiveness, the naivete. Like I think it's an asset when you're starting a business because think about it, you're jumping in saying, hey, there's other people that have been doing this for their entire career. I'm somebody with no experience in this industry, no connections, no money, and I'm going to do it better than them. Like on paper, that doesn't sound smart, but you want to have the little bit of like energy and optimism because again, I think entrepreneurs think there's a brighter future so they think, "Oh, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna find a way to do it better than them, cheaper. I'm gonna make my customers happier. It's gonna be amazing." So I think keeping the naiveness and it's a good thing. You're not gonna have all the answers. You will make mistakes, but also give yourself some grace. Like I used to be so scared of public speaking, Alex. Like in middle school, high school, I was not like the outgoing, like, let's do this guy at the pep rally. I was very much like chill relaxed, but I had to learn and get uncomfortable with public speaking. And now I've done at least 1,500, videos or interviews or webinars or seminars or virtual events, public speaking, stuff like that. So now I'm comfortable. But when I started out, I wasn't too hard on myself. And I wasn't like, hey, you should be at this level now. I was like, no, you're getting better. Just keep doing it. Can see, stay focused over a long period of time. Because you learn in sports growing up, like you're not going to get great at something fast. You can get good, but like even playing basketball, you could be a great athlete, but there's a mental side to the game of really understanding the other team, like who is their catalyst and what type of calls does this ref make and like stuff like you would only gain through playing for years. Somebody that's very athletic that has talent, they might get frustrated because then when they play somebody like you, they're like, no, I should be winning, I'm used to being the bully, this isn't happening as fast as I thought. And then they start, they get technical fouls, or then they get emotional and frustrated. Same thing in business. People might be successful in another arena. They jump into business, they're not successful instantly, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's something wrong with this whole business entrepreneurship deal because I'm perfect. I'm amazing. Or they're super hard on themselves and they're like, oh, you're such an idiot. You should make videos better. And you messed up that word in that interview with Alex Hayes or whatever, right? So they're either too overconfident, and then when they run into issues, they falter and they just fail, or they don't give themselves enough time to actually get good. Because my main point today, I think, is let's say there's 10 blocks to success in any business, like 10 steps, 10 building blocks. Most people think there's 9 steps that are just having the perfect knowledge and the perfect plan and the business plan and the MBA and the doctorate and the PhD and the experience and this and that. And then the final little baby step is just taking action and just doing it. That's the easy part. And staying consistent and focused. And that's the easy part. It's flipped, right? 9 steps are after. The first step is having some knowledge. Again, you have an idea, you have a business, you have an inkling. The next 9 steps are saying, well, let me do it. Let me fall on my face and fail, which is learning. Then let me keep improving, and I'll get better over time. That's the actual 9 blocks to success. Whereas people, I think, have it flipped most of the time.
100%. I couldn't agree more, brother. No, I think absolutely great interview, brother. You did great. This is fantastic. I think everybody got tons of value from this.
Wait, I want to ask you a question. Let me get
Okay,
my
go ahead.
question in.
Yeah,
Because this guy,
get your
Alex
question.
Hayes, he's so professional and on point in his interviews. But no, Alex Hayes is a great guy. And my question is, what is one, not multiple, one, like, if you had to give me one piece of parenting advice, one, just
Parenting
one,
advice.
quick, like what's your parenting pitch?
Ooh, you have to accept that you're not gonna have the answers. I have 5 kids, and, for the audience that doesn't know me very well, but I have 5 kids, and I could tell you that the kids will challenge you in ways that you never thought that you would be challenged, because when you're single, you tend to be very selfish. And when my wife and I, when we were single, it was all our lives are all about us, right? We're building our career, we're saving for our future, we've got our job or advancing our path, whatever it was at the time, right? And then my wife and I got married, and then it was just about the two of us. But when you start to have children, there's something in your mind that's going to shift into a now I actually have a longer vision of life other than just me, right? My life is now bigger, and now it brings into the conversation of legacy and what do I want to leave my kids? And so that's why I bring it all back to say is like realize that you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay, you know,
Mhm.
and just really be there in the moment. I'm This is a really great piece of wisdom too that I saw. I can't remember where I saw it from, and I wish I could. I wish I saved it, but there was a cartoon image of a dad and a son, a little boy sitting on a park bench, and the dad has got he's got the car, he's got his job, he's got his computer, he's got his messages, and he's got all these things in that little bubble above his head, and he's thinking about all these different things. And you could tell he's worried, he's stressed, he's anxious. And then his little boy sitting right next to him has got the same bubble, but it's got a bubble of the exact image of him and his dad sitting on the park bench. His life is already perfect.
Mm.
And there's so much wisdom in that cartoon that it's really stuck with me, right? So just remember, your kid really just wants to be with you at the end of the day. So take that, take it one day at a time, my friend, and just remember, from your kid's point of view, they care more about the time you spent with them and the experiences of life you shared with them than they do about anything else.
Amen. Well, thank you for sharing that and having me on. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
No, my pleasure, sir. My pleasure. This has been awesome. Long overdue conversation. And tell everybody where they can find you.
Just Alex Albarran. I'm sure maybe my name will be in the title or in the description or something, but Alex Albarran. And yeah, no, Instagram, YouTube, all of that good stuff. And thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll have links to all of his socials and his website and the places where you can find Alex in the description of below. So please, if you're looking for a great guy to reach out to, talking about business growth and advice, he is your man. With that, Alex, thanks so much. Appreciate you being here, brother.
Thank you, sir.